Well, what's up, everybody? Y'all already know what it is, man. It's Fred, FanView Live, man. Appreciate y'all hitting the subscribe button, the FanView Live page up on YouTube, Facebook, you know, Twitter at FanView NOLA, IG at FanView Live. Listen, we got a lot of time on our hands, man. We quarantining, man. Um, Want to talk about the NBA, 82 game regular season. Obviously, the NBA, had to cancel the season due to this coronavirus. Um, Only was able to play 64 regular season games. Now, I hope they take the time and think about are they playing too many games or whatnot or what have you. But I got an idea, and I hope this gets to Commissioner Adam Silver. If y'all can help me get this idea or format to him, I think there should be some changes to the NBA regular season, some proposed changes. Um, right now, we got a system in place in the NBA regular season where the last really 15 games of the season don't matter. The current NBA system right now, regular season system, is broken. 16 teams make the playoffs, about 14 teams don't. Right now, after 64 games that the playoffs have to start tomorrow, the Eastern Conference is already solved. The top 8 teams are already locked in. In the Western Conference, 7 of the 8 are decided. The 8 between Memphis, Pelicans, Denver, I think Sacramento, are trying to figure themselves out if they were still playing. While the bottom teams are just, as an organization, they're tanking. Players are not tanking. The organization is, meaning they're reducing star players' minutes. They got a high rotation. They're trying to figure out, what guy can, play at this level, what not. So when you're trying to figure all that out, as an organization, you're tanking. So because they're trying to play for a high pick in the NBA lottery, right? Not a current good system. Here's my proposal. The NBA regular season, as far as deciding who makes the playoffs, should be shrunken down to 67 games. 67. After 67 games, we know who the best 8 teams are in the Western Conference and the best 8 teams in the Eastern Conference. We know who they are. Yeah, 67 games to prove it. Now that leaves 15 more games for the last 82. That last 15 games should be strictly divisional games. Now I know some fans are thinking, I know the NBA had divisions. No one does. They only talk about the Eastern and Western Conference. The NBA has divisions. In the Western Conference, there's a Northwest division, there's a Pacific division, and there's actually a Southwest division. And in the Eastern Conference, there's a Atlantic division, a Central division, and there's a Southeast division. There should be strictly divisional games, the last 15. That should decide seeding for the playoffs. And it should also be for lottery. Here's what I'm talking about. The top team in, let's say, for example, let's use the Lakers and Clippers division, which is the Pacific division. The Lakers are the top team in that division, right? They should play the most home games. The last 15 games of the season, this is strictly coming out of who can win the division now. So the Lakers should play the most home games, which means that they got 15 games left. They should play 10 games at home and 5 games on the road. And the bottom team in that division, which is the Golden State Warriors right now, should play 10 games on the road and 5 games at home. Right? The Lakers got to win the division to have a chance at being a first or, let's say, a second seed. If that makes sense. Now, what's the credit for Golden State if they just so happen to win the division? Meaning that out of the past 15 games, they won the most games. They should get credit for being top in the lottery. Meaning the organization still has to play star players because the organization now is held accountable if they want to be picked high in the lottery. It makes the division now, the last 15 games, intense. It makes it must-see TV. Golden State still has to play. Wow, man, if they can win, if they can put around and win the Lakers division, plus they get to play spoiler. They get to play spoiler to the Lakers. Meaning that it ain't slam dunk. Right now, the Lakers have the best record in the NBA. So right now, the Lakers are slanted to be a number 1 team in the playoffs. Well, with this format, they wouldn't be. They got to win a division. And it should also go about the divisional wins. Like, based upon the format I'm suggesting, the Northwest Division in the Western Conference, which is the division with the Denver Nuggets, the Utah Jazz, the Oklahoma City Thunder, which will have 3 teams in the playoffs this year, that division, the Portland Trail Blazers, and the Minnesota Timberwolves, they have the most wins in their division. So, obviously, based upon the format I'm suggesting, the Timberwolves will play 10 road games, and the Denver Nuggets will play 10 home games, and vice versa. Meaning that the Timberwolves, Portland will play the second amount of road games, and so on and so forth. What I'm getting at is this: if the Denver Nuggets were to win that division within that 15-game, battle royale, they should be the 1 seed. Why? Because they have the strongest division. Their division won the most games. The Lakers should not be the 1 seed in the NBA playoffs if Denver had the toughest division as far as total wins. If the Lakers won their division and the Denver Nuggets won their division, then the Denver Nuggets should be the 1 seed. It shouldn't go by total record. No. Total record for the divisions. And based upon that format, actually, the Pacific Division is actually the weakest. They have the least amount of wins. The Southwest Division in the Western Conference is second, which means Houston, Dallas, Memphis, Pelicans, San Antonio. That's the second strongest division in the West. The one that the Lakers are in, they play the Sacramento Kings and they play the Golden State Warriors this season. They play the Phoenix Suns. They're not playoff teams. The only teams that make the playoffs are them and the Clippers. Y'all see how I'm putting this together, right? So that means the only way the Lakers could be the 1 seed in the playoffs is if they won their division and Houston couldn't win theirs and Denver couldn't win theirs, because it's not a lock. It makes the last 15 games of the regular season important for every organization. The bottom team of the division has to play the most road games. But if they can find a way to win their division, they're going to get credit to picking high in the NBA draft. Now, based upon my current format, obviously the weakest division in the NBA will probably have the team that, the weakest division in the NBA is in the Eastern Conference, which is the Southeast Division. That's the division with obviously Miami, Orlando, Washington, Charlotte, and Atlanta. Obviously 2 playoff teams out of the 5. That's the weakest one. That one has the least amount of wins throughout the NBA. Based upon the format I'm suggesting, the Miami Heat, if they won their division, the only way they could be a 1 seed or 2 seed is that the division with the Central, which is Milwaukee, Indiana, Bulls, Detroit, and Cleveland, Milwaukee can't win their division. In the division, the Atlantic, which is the toughest division, which is actually the toughest division in the NBA, they have the most wins, which is Boston, Toronto, Philadelphia, Brooklyn, New York Knicks. That's the toughest division in the NBA. Because they have the most wins. In order for the Heat to be a 1 seed, those other 2 the division leaders right now, will have to not win their conference. If that makes sense. But if a team like the Hawks, right now, which in the worst division, right? If they're somehow in this 15-game conference division of play, if they so happen to fool around and win that division, they won the most games in these last 15 games, by them being in the worst division, they should be a lock for the 1 seed. First overall pick. Should be a lock. They should be able to pick first overall. People say, why is that? Because you got the worst division in the NBA, getting arguably one of the best players coming out of high school, college, went overseas, and what have you. You keep putting star players in bad divisions against you, the division eventually turns around. Think about the guys who got picked first overall. most of them became stars in this league in the past decade. The Blake Griffins, the Kyrie Irvings, the Anthony Davis, Karl-Anthony Towns, Ben Simmons, guys who were picked first overall. Now every now and then you get a sprinkle or two who are just role players and flamed out, like the Anthony Bennett and Markelle Fultz, who's a role player. But for the most part, the guy who's picked first overall becomes a star. You keep putting star players in bad divisions, eventually that division turns around. I say all that to say is this. I don't think it's going to be a perfect system, but I think it's better than what the current format suggests. Again, like the video, subscribe to the video, man. Leave your comments down at the bottom. If you dislike it, that's cool. Let's apply some real thought into the comment section of, if you don't like it, then what do you suggest they should do? Then you should just stay the same. But if you do like it, man, like it, share it, get it out there. Again, I want to thank everybody for liking and subscribing to FanView Live. Again, subscribe to the page on YouTube, subscribe to the page on Facebook, subscribe to the page if you're on Twitter, and subscribe to the page if you on IG. Y'all have a great Monday.